Hey guys, Brian Savchik here. So today I want to talk about something I get asked a lot, which is should you tailor your resume for a particular position that you're applying for? I say absolutely yes. Every single time you have an opportunity to tailor your resume for a position you're applying for, you should. Now, I realize that if you're actively looking and you're in the job market and you're applying to a lot of jobs, you can't tailor your resume for every single job that you're applying for. But if you have a long enough career and a lot of experience, and there's a lot of different skills that you could for jobs you could apply for, you may want to create a few different versions of your resume, one for maybe that covering this skill and another covering this skill and another covering another one, right? So at least at that point you can send out whichever version of your resume you feel at that point is the best fit for that role if you're actively looking and applying for positions. For me, most of the candidates I'm working with are not actively looking. They're people that I headhunt specifically for a position, and they're really not interviewing anywhere else. So in that case, I always ask them to take some time to tailor their resume for a role. So we're going to tell you a little bit about why, and then I'm also going to tell you, give you a tip on exactly how I tell my candidates to do it, how you'd want to do it yourself. So why would you want to do it? Look, the whole point of a resume is to get you an interview, right? It's basically an advertisement for your career and the skills that you bring to the table in relation to the role, right? So the whole point is just to get you an interview. You're never going to get a job off of just what they're looking at on paper, right? You still have to interview. So just get yourself in front of the right person and tailor your resume. Make sure that the people who are looking at that resume can easily look down, take a look at your resume and say, okay, this guy has done this job before, right? And the thing is that one of the biggest mistakes people make is they just automatically assume that the people who are looking at their resume know that they have a certain set of skills based on what their job title is, right? But what they don't realize is the hiring manager and some of the people who are in the know about that aren't necessarily always the first people who look at the resume. Sometimes it's talent acquisition. Sometimes it's a recruiter like me who, headhunts you and you send me a resume. I'm looking for certain skills and things like that too, to make sure that you have a lot of the things that my clients require. What I'll see a lot of times on people's resumes is they'll have a list of their accomplishments, but not a list of their job responsibilities. A really good resume is going to have both. So you'll have a list of your sort of a bullet pointed out, list of your responsibilities, and then underneath you can have an accomplishment section where there's like 3 or 4 accomplishments. But you really want to try to have your resume mirror that job description as much as possible, right? And then another reason is this: even if you get past the hiring manager and you get brought on site, because most of these start with phone screens, you come on site. A lot of times, you are interviewing with people that are not necessarily in the exact group that you're interviewing with. So for instance, I do supply chain, a lot of my supply chain candidates will interview with candidates from, people from quality assurance and project management and other areas that work with supply chain but aren't in supply chain. So you want to be able to go on site and have those people who have less of an untrained eye in relation to supply chain to be able to look at your resume and understand, okay, well, this person definitely does this job, right? So how do you want to do it? Really simple. This is simple, right? You look at the job description and you look at the first 4 to 5 bullet points, because usually job descriptions are written in order of importance. So the first 4 or 5 bullet points are generally going to be the most important job responsibilities for the position, right? So take a look at your resume and don't make anything up. Obviously, if you haven't done some of this stuff before, don't put it on your resume. That's ridiculous. But make sure that if you have done each of those bullet points or any of those bullet points, make sure it's very prominent on your resume. And so, and not just at the top of the resume in a list of skills. So I'll see resumes a lot of times. Someone will have an executive summary at the top, and then they'll have maybe bullet points like 3 on the left, 3 in the middle, 3 on the right of specific skills that they have experience with. That's great. I like that too. But then in the body of the email, in the body of the resume, underneath each job, you want to have in your bullet points specifically where, lines about where you have done that exact bullet point from the job description, so that it's not only just in your summary of skills. Someone can look at your resume and understand where specifically in your point of your career you had that experience and what that looked like. So that's my advice for today. Absolutely tailor your resume for a role. I have all of my candidates do it. If I look at their resume and it doesn't read exactly right, I ask them to take some extra time, spend the night to go ahead and do it. It makes an enormous difference. Try it out if you start looking for a job, or if anyone contacts you about a role. Absolutely take the time. It's totally worth it. And that's my advice today. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I will catch up with you guys soon.